All right, and we are back with the next video in our PCF Basics series. So we're going to go ahead and get started with a simple Hello World PCF. With me today, as usual, is Charles. Charles, how you doing today?
Doing well, Garrett. Looking forward to it.
Good. Yeah, glad to be here. All right. So we got this whole thing spun up before we got our project started. But what's next? What do we do to actually get something on the screen that we can see? What do we want to do, Charles?
Okay, well, we'll start with the most rudimentary approach to this that we possibly can, which is just going to
Hmm.
be we're going to drop a simple HTML hello world onto the
Okay.
screen. Okay, the easiest place to put that is in the init method,
Hmm.
because the init method in a normal PCF, which is what we built, not a virtual PCF, those work a little differently, but in a normal PCF, the init method contains an input called container, which is an HTML div that the platform expects you to update with the content to put on the page. So it's a convenient place for us to get started.
All right.
Um, in order to get started, we'll just declare a local variable. We'll do something like, const my div equals document.create element div. So just div.
Sorry, div. That's my fault.
Yep.
Um, just div, or should it be in quotes? Yes.
It's in quotes. Yep.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
All right, and then we'll say my div dot inner text equals hello world.
Sounds easy enough. Um, in case you couldn't tell, I still have not learned to type very well on my new keyboard. It's been a week and a half, and it's still not much better.
Takes a while.
It takes, yeah, I mean, I'm learning kind of to retype altogether. So, um, all right, Charles, so we've got a little bit of code. We've got a hello world theoretically generated, but we can't see it anywhere on this screen. It's not
Right.
because I don't have the window on the screen. What do we have to do to actually get to seeing this?
Well, we got to do two things. First, we got to put that content into the container that came in the init signature. So we'll do
Hmm.
container.append child my div. And because init only runs once, we don't have to worry about it. You'll just put this one div in there one time, and
Great.
we should be good to go. And
All
now
right.
what we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of one of the really fantastic tools in the PCF framework, which is the ability to run as a local Node.js site. So instead of having
Hmm.
to bundle all this up, make a solution, import it, register it, and then test it, we can test locally here in just a couple of seconds. So let's go down into your terminal and
Hmm.
we'll just say npm start watch.
All right. And it takes a second, usually. It's got to do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. But here
Mm-hmm.
we are, sure enough. We have a hello world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a hello world there on the screen. And we got some stuff around it, right? We got a testing harness that's been built all around it. This is the Node.js site, which as you can
Hmm.
see in the URL is running on localhost, right? This hasn't been deployed anywhere. It's just right here on Garrett's laptop.
Yeah.
And
Usually
on
you'd
the
have to, oh, sorry. I was going to say, usually, what you'd have to do is build it out into a solution and import it into Dynamics, but Microsoft was kind enough to give us this way to test it outside of Dynamics. So,
Yeah, which is a big deal, right? With
huge deal.
single page app development, you need to iterate a
Yeah.
lot, and so
Yeah.
it saves us a lot of headache.
Absolutely.
Um, Right, so over on the right, we've got a little side panel where we got
Hmm.
things like, the ability to tweak its size, its height, its width, see what it would look like in web and mobile, and also
Yeah, a
to
metadata form.
customize our values and properties, right? We said in the last video that there was that sample property. We put it in there, and we weren't going to mess with it. We're just going to leave it be. Well, now let's put it to use, right? We've got a place where we can put a value in.
Hmm.
Um, let's put that value in and see what we can do with it.
All right. So first off, do we want to take my div and make it global scoped so it can be accessed by update view?
I think that's a great idea.
All right, let's do that then. So we'll actually
Oh,
start with,
actually, you know what? Instead of doing that, we're just going to write straight into the container. Let's
okay,
scope the container to a global scope so we can just update it.
sure, yeah, yeah. So we got private container. Um, then
And you can get
it's,
its type from the signature in init.
yeah,
I think it's an
HTML.
HTML div element.
I believe so. Let's see if it's happy with that. And let me double check here. But yeah, HTML development. So right there, you can see.
Hmm.
So we'll jump back. All right, so we've got container. All right.
And we'll write a container to this container in our init.
Okay.
For
So,
those of you that might be new to this kind of development, what we're doing is we're taking the variable in init it's been passed into us in that function by the platform. We're pushing it off into a global scope so that we can access it from elsewhere. Container only shows up in init. It doesn't show up in, say, update view. So in order to be able to work with it, we have to set it aside into a global scope.
mhm, which is what we're doing right here, line 28. All right.
Perfect.
Um, so next
Yeah,
up, we
and
got to
then
change update view.
that's right. So let's just use a little bit of brute force. We're going to say this.container.inner text and we'll say we'll get straight from the actual sample properties. We'll use it directly. So we'll
Mhm.
say equals we'll say context dot parameters dot sample property dot raw.
All right.
All
Sounds
right.
good to me.
All right, and let's go ahead and put something into that value.
Yeah. So actually, it
So
already
our
has hello again. So
Yeah,
now you
which has
got,
already shown up. Yeah,
yeah,
look at that. Let's go ahead and
hello
update
again.
it so people can see this event running, right? So what's going on is every time there's a change, you can see the actual whole control re-renders, right? Every time Garrett updates that input value, the control re-renders. And this is important because that input value, let's say you're on a model-driven app, that could be bound to a field on the form. Or say you're in a Canvas app, that input value could be something that you're controlling in your Canvas app and passing into the control again and again as values update, right? It could be a ticker, or it could be a number, or it could be a lookup. It could be any kind of control you can think of. And this is how you're sending values into your PCF, and your PCF re-renders every time, incredibly
Mhm.
fast every time.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. Um, great. All right. So that's the basics of a hello world. Charles, is there anything else you want to cover in this one?
No, I think that's great. I mean,
Cool.
in later ones we'll talk about like how we start to get into React and so on. But this
hmm
is the right place to start when you've just got something really basic. You understand what your testing framework is, how you're going to work with it, right?
Yep.
Think about the differences between init and update view, the differences in the actual inputs that you get in those signatures, right? And how we're going to start to work with it. In later videos, we'll get into more, functional components, things that'll, really actually start to lend
Do
value
something
to
useful.
your
Yeah.
deployments. That's right.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye, everyone.
Thanks all.